I'm going to show you exactly how I learn languages using videos.
A todo lo que ha visto el mundo. Oh,
And why this works much faster than traditional methods.
con que así se llama. Oh, por fin, un digno oponente.
The key idea is actually very simple. You learn faster when the content is interesting to you. When you enjoy what you are watching, your attention naturally stays higher. You don't get bored, and because you're engaged, your brain processes information much faster. So now for this to work, the content shouldn't be too easy, but it also shouldn't be too hard. Language learning works best when you consume content that is slightly above your level. You don't need to understand everything. In fact, you are not supposed to. Partial understanding is already enough for your brain to start recognizing patterns and meaning. But instead of just jumping into a video and hoping to understand it and spend hours and hours listening and watching, which would work actually, but it would take too much time. What I do is I prepare a bit first. Before watching the video fully, I go through the subtitles line by line and identify unknown words and phrases. Then I learn them in advance, so when I actually watch the video, very important without subtitles, my brain is already familiar with what it's about to hear. And when I learn new words, I don't rely on traditional memorization and I don't use Anki cards. Instead, I use mnemonics associations. I try to use like images, connections, anything that makes the word more meaningful. This makes the process easier and helps the words stick much better. So first we have our mnemonics associations, and we have an image, sound, and emotion from the scene in the video, and those combinations create very powerful connections in our brain that it becomes very hard to forget that word or phrase. At the same time, I don't try to be perfect. If a word or phrase is too difficult or just not worth the effort, I skip it. Trying to understand everything only slows you down, it slows down your progress and creates frustration, so I'm trying to avoid that. So once I've learned the most important vocabulary, I go back and watch the video without subtitles. This is very important, without subtitles. So because I already recognize key parts like words and phrases, my brain can actually focus on understanding. So instead of translating every word in your head, you start understanding the meaning directly. And that's the real goal, like building actual comprehension and not dependence on translation or reading subtitles. There is also a reason why this approach feels better and faster. When your brain already recognizes words, it processes speech much more easily. Learning through video activates multiple areas of your brain at the same time. Sound, visuals, context, even emotions from the scene. All of this creates stronger neural connections in your brain, which improves memory, and it's really hard to forget that line. And because you're learning words in real context inside actual sentences and situations, they are much easier to remember and use compared to isolated vocabulary lists. So one of the most motivating parts of this process is what happens when you rewatch a video. Suddenly you understand much more than before. That immediate visible progress gives you feedback that you're improving, and that naturally increases your motivation to keep going. So only when you understand 70 or 80% of the language can you start practicing speaking and learning grammar to understand how the language works. Your pronunciation will be better because you have hours and hours of listening and understanding how the language sounds. It really breaks my heart how the school system made us believe that the only proper way to learn a foreign language is to learn grammar and use boring textbooks. People who follow this system usually end up knowing a lot about the language, but unable to speak and understand anything they hear. I use this exact approach that I just shared with you to learn English, and it worked without relying on traditional study methods. Watching and listening really worked. That's what convinced me that this method is actually effective, and now I'm trying to apply the same process to Spanish, and it actually works the same way. Which shows that this approach isn't tied to a specific language. It's something you can reuse again and again, and it works in any language. The only real problem is the process itself. Doing it all manually is slow and inconvenient. You have to download subtitles, translate words and phrases manually, switch between different tools, and all of that breaks your focus and makes it harder to stay consistent. That's exactly why I created a website called Yarna. It's free, and the idea was to simplify everything and bring it into one place so you can focus on learning instead with videos from YouTube. It's still in development. It's not perfect yet, but it's already useful if you want to learn Spanish with videos. Soon Ukrainian will be added, which is my native language. And right now I'm working on improving things like translating individual words and making it easier to import YouTube videos that you actually want to watch. So yeah, something like that. If you're interested, please try. If not, just try this method. Go and get your favorite movie in your target language, download subtitles, translate unknown words and phrases, try to learn at least 50%, and then watch without subtitles.